Welcome to the Game Changer Podcast. I'm your host, Elijah Bryant, and we got another special guest with us today. We got Alan from Houston. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you inviting me out today.
Yes, sir. So we're going to bring him back. Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. Let's see. So growing up, for the most part, actually, when I was born, I was kind of born into a family that had some money. Like my dad was in the streets, and he was doing some things that ended up getting him incarcerated when I was about like 7 or 8 years old. So the first like 6, 7 years of my life is quality. Like we live big. They're having another car every other month or whatever, and like I said, he goes to jail, and it's just like a complete life change. So like 7, 8 years old, I was probably like 3rd or 4th grade, and just like complete shift, right? Like my mom was taking care of like 6, 7 people in one household off of one, like probably $35,000 income. So like, life changed at that point. And then, just kind of like at that point, just really just spending time with family, going to school, staying focused, trying to stay out of trouble, just not trying to follow into any, bad steps or anything. But I've always had that itch, like I need to make some money, even when I was like 10, 11 years old.
Okay, so did you do any jobs? Like, did you sell candy?
Yeah, I sold candy. I sold the shit out of some candy. Like 6th grade, I was like selling candy. And then, fast forward a little bit after like middle school, I'm getting into high school, my dad gets out of jail. And he comes out, and he's like the hustler. He's like has a hustler mindset, and he sees kind of how everybody's living. He's like, yo, something's got to change. Like we got to do something. So he goes like, he's working. He gets everybody back on his feet, and like he kind of gives everybody that vision. Like, yo, this is not how it has to be.
Gotcha. So you was like influenced.
A
lot by your dad and hustler mentality, and seeing how how he moves and stuff like that.
Yeah. So like he came out, and he hit the ground running like a bull. Like anybody whenever you're getting out of prison, like you got a whole plan. He knew exactly what he was gonna do. So I ended up volunteering one time because in 2017 there was a hurricane in Houston called Hurricane Harvey. So I went to go volunteer at my dad's job. He's like, hey, we need some help, just come. So I was just volunteering, right? But he worked for Gather Furniture. It's this guy named Mattress Mac. I don't know if you've seen him.
I heard of that before. The guy, he be doing bets.
Yeah, he gambles. He wins. He's a really, really good guy. So I went to go volunteer for him. I introduced myself. I was just like, hey, anything you need, let me know. I'll be helping out for the day. There was like thousands of people there. We were giving them food and clothes, and he was doing it for free. He was just wanting to help the community. So at the end of the night, he's like, hey, it's like 6, and I'm like, all right, I'm about to head out for the day. He's like, nah, stay here and work till 10. And I was like, all right, okay. And then he offers me a job, and I get into this world where, I take the opportunity. And it's just like, he's Mattress Mac, Jim McAvell. He's like 68, 69 at the time. But he's been in business for like 30 years. So he basically took me under his wing, like as his acquaintance. And, he taught me sales, how to take care of customers, how to go above and beyond, go the extra mile. And then he would just like talk to me all day about like these principles and these morals, and like instilled a bunch of this stuff into me. So then, it's just the whole time during school, though, I'm not really like I'm not a good student. I'm not getting into trouble, but my mind's not there.
Usually entrepreneurs, they not good at school.
I just like, I probably wouldn't go like 2-3 days out of the week. So, I'm barely there. Even when I do go, I'm not there all the whole day. But I'm not getting into trouble. Like I said, I'm just, just thinking about other stuff going on. So I end up around like 17 years old. I go to a Grant Cardone event in Houston. And it was a free event. I was just like, man, I always see his stuff. I read a little bit of his stuff. I'm like, I'm going to learn something. And I end up sitting next to an older man out of this room of like 500 people. And this older man, he's, been in business, in the real estate business in Houston for a long time. And he actually teaches people. So he like taught me a lot of the basic core print, like just the foundation of stuff. Yeah. And then I went to another event a couple months later called Wholesaling Live, and I started like trying to wholesale houses.
So that's how you got into wholesaling houses, from that first event, like listening to that person?
Listening to that person, kind of, he told me what wholesaling was.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to get into real estate. I knew I wanted to do business when I was, ever since I was a kid. Like, as far as I can think back, I was like, I don't know if I want to drive. I think I want to, And so, yeah, I ended up, pursuing the wholesaling. I was still in school. I was like 17. I would do driving for dollars, and me and my friend, we ended up selling like some mailers because we were too scared to cold call. We tried to cold call a few times, and like you're looking at their phone, it's like the most daunting thing ever. So
I remember when I was first starting, my heart used to stop.
Yeah.
Like, when somebody would pick up, I remember this one time somebody picked up, and I was so nervous I hung up. Like, that could have been a deal.
Yeah, no, and that's a lot of people can relate to that. It is nerve wracking. The first time you're cold calling, but as long as you keep going, you get over that hump. Like, man, there's a lot of money on the other side of that. That hump. Fact. So we ended up getting a mailer lead. It was a probate deal. She wanted like 200,000, and I was like, damn, okay, I don't have 200,000, but in my head, like, I was like, all right, let's just see how far we take it. Where it turns out she's asking like half of what the ARV is. The ARV is like 400, 450. She wants 200. It's in good condition. She just didn't want to deal with it because it was probate, and her sister lived out of state. So we got her under contract. We had my partner today. I actually met him at Wholesaling Live, and I was like, hey man, you have a buyer? And we had a couple people on the front end, on the acquisition side, that are going to get paid, but just add your fee on top. So he made some money. It was like a total of like a $45,000 assignment. I ended up making like 12. Another buddy made 12. Another buddy made 16, and 5. So
everybody
got a piece. And from then on,
that was your first deal.
That was my first deal. Okay. Yeah. From then on, I just really like, I was still working at gallery and sales, so I was comfortable with talking to sellers and talking to customers. So really, what it was is just I wasn't organized. That whole year, I was trying to wholesale houses. It took 365 days to get the next damn contract.
Damn.
And that's thousands of dollars in marketing. So it's just like I had proof of concept. It's just I just wasn't getting any luck with any other deals.
And at that time, you was just strictly doing houses.
Yeah, I didn't even know what land or thought about land.
So before we even get into the land, let's talk about that real quick. So it took 365 days to get that second one with the house.
Yeah.
Why is that?
So the problem that I now that I look back and I understand is because I didn't have a CRM. So I was marketing, cold calling, and I would write down the names on a piece of paper. And you just won't. Sometimes that piece of paper fucking disappears. So yeah, we would have that happen, and we just we're just generating leads, we're not closing. Yeah. We send a couple offers, but the main thing is generating leads and sending offers, and then you get contracts, right? So we weren't, organized yet, I guess.
And I would say, not to cut you off, but like the CRM, right? This is why it's important that you guys have a CRM, because I tell people this all the time, like the game is follow-up. Yeah. Like people get into this business and they expect to close it on the first phone call. And that happens, especially with land. Yeah. But, you're going to get consistent deals when you follow up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where like that hole was, we weren't following up. And that is like, that's where all your deals are going to come from. It's not going to, most of them, 99% of them probably not going to happen from the first call. Yeah. So,
So how'd you get into the land?
So after a year of trying that, I was like, man, I can't do this no more. I ended up meeting with my partner today, AJ, and I haven't really spoken on this story too much, so this is like something interesting that happened. Okay. So a whole year, after the first deal, I did not get another contract, didn't end up going through, and then I met with AJ, and he was working with some other guys at the time. And they're like, hey, you should come work with us. And at the time, I'm like, man, I just saved up like another $10,000 just for marketing. Yeah. I was like, man, let me think about this, because I was thinking just going head on and trying to do it myself. Mm-hmm. And then they were the ones that got Brent Bauer's course, and we're like, hey, this is this is a cool thing. We're trying it out. And I started paying for some marketing to generate leads so everybody could eat, and I was just gonna get paid back or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we were about to start marketing heavily for house deals, and then they just got like a deal with land, and it cost like $300 for the contract or the deal. It was like $300 cost per deal, and I was like, wait, the average in house is like 15, 2,000 at the time.
Yeah.
I made 8,000. The average deal in Houston maybe like 15. I was like, we'd probably be better off if we focused on the land because that would take us farther, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up deciding on doing that. It was a total of like 4 of us. It was the pretty much tasks were divided among us.
What were you doing at the time?
I was doing acquisitions, and I had a good eye or mind for like systems and processes because I had learned them from Mac.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at his business and I was like, okay, well, he starts here and everything, you know. So I just kind of try to think and reflect on him and try to like
reverse engineer from what he did with his business.
Yeah, because you know his business is a $300 million a year business that, you know, all focused on sales and marketing. It's the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up building a pipeline, right? We probably got like $80,000 in the pipeline, like 50, 60 of it were sold. It's all pending. And then those guys tried to cut me out of the deals.
What?
So I lose a couple thousand in marketing, couple, you know, probably like 10,000, 12,000 from my share. And me, you know, AJ actually, he was just like, hey man, I don't know, I don't feel comfortable working with them. Let's go rock with our own thing. Let's do it. Like, we know what we're doing. Let's just pass on and move it. So I was like, man, I'm like damn, we finally got it again. Like, it was working. But, you know, we just dropped it. And that happens sometimes. Sometimes you go into business with the wrong people. And I'm glad it happened early instead of later with some more money, you know?
That's a fact. So what could you tell the viewers about, you know, finding the right partnerships? Yeah,
man, a lot of people jump into partnerships too fast. You have to like date people. You have to, it's a marriage. As soon as you go in a partner with somebody, you know, you're marrying them. Especially with, if you get an entity together, it's literally like a marriage. So, you know, vet them, spend some time dating with them. You know, that's why I said like do a couple deals, you know, see if you even can. Because some people, they show that they're one person at one time, and then a couple months down the line, when there's some money issues, they start acting different. So, you know, it's important to actually know your person. Go through some bad situations with them, see how they handle that, you know? Yep.
So now it's you and AJ working together. Y'all got the experience. Y'all know how to flip land. So like, what happens after this?
So that happened probably in like 2021, near like September, maybe around that time, right? Mm-hmm. And by the end of the year, we still ended up doing like 6 deals and made like maybe like a quick 30, 40 grand before the year ended. Mm-hmm. But that really led us and set us up for a strong 2022. Mm-hmm. In 2022, our first like real year, full year. And remind you, also the partnership only went for a couple months, 4 months maybe, or something like that.
Okay.
3 or 4 months maybe. And let's see. So 2022, I had another friend that is now pretty much like a partner in the company, Francisco, and I had him take on the marketing because I was like, yo, this is like a big thing. You know, just make sure there's always marketing going out. So that's what he took, and then I took on acquisitions, and AJ took on dispositions and transaction coordinating. Okay. So I was doing like the systems in the process and building that out, and like the whole roadmap and how things are gonna flow. And it's like a baton, pretty much. That's how we like treated it. Yeah. And you know, in the beginning it was like a baton. Then we kind of built like an assembly line now. You know, so you know, going into 2022. I think we ended up doing like 60, 70 land deals that year.
And where are these deals at?
They were all in Houston and the surrounding areas.
Wow.
Yeah, so actually all were in the surrounding areas. We didn't even touch the inner city at the time.
Yeah, because I tried Houston, that area, and I couldn't get any. So it's impressive that you closed like 70, you know, 2022. Yeah. So let's talk about that process. Like, what have you done, I guess, differently in that Houston or the surroundings that you see other people doing?
So I think the one thing that led us to be able to do like that amount of volume and was really targeting, like we would find really good neighborhoods, right? Instead of like the whole county and marketing to the whole county, we would market to just a specific neighborhood. Yeah. But in Houston or in Texas, really, and probably other states of the country, I can't speak, but you know, in Texas, I know for sure that in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, people will go in and they will subdivide these large tracts of land and make like mini neighborhoods. Yeah. Well, since the market was so hot, builders started to buy in these neighborhoods and build like $400,000 houses. And the lots were like 20, 30 grand at the time. Wow. You know? So they're loving, yeah. So what we ended up doing was moving into like probably a solid 3-4 neighborhoods over the whole year. And we would do like 10, 20, 30 deals in each neighborhood. And it was easier, you know, because we know we have the subdivision. Either we're selling to buyers or like developers or retail buyers are just going to buy and hold their land next. So
how do you know what to offer these people? Because, you know, in Houston and Texas specifically, it's a non-disclosure state, meaning that they don't show the sale prices of these homes or lots. So how do you know what to offer?
For us, we knew, you know, with that being a factor, we had to get MLS access. So that's really what we depended on.
Yeah. So for Texas, you have to get MLS access.
You can use Zillow to get like a rough estimate of the pricing and maybe take away like 10-15% based on the listing price, just like historically speaking over time. Like data's proven that the list price usually ends up selling 10 to 15 below around, you know, in that ballpark. So that's kind of what we use, just at least put a feel on.
So I need y'all to pay attention to that, right? So if you're in Texas, go to Zillow, look at the listing price and offer, you know, 10-15% lower than that.
Well, that gives you like the estimated value of what it could sell for, right?
Yeah.
Well, us, we pick up deals at like 50 cents or under of that. So it could be some margin, you know?
Okay, so, you know, in terms of my business, we look for the market, the builders first. Are you guys doing the same process?
No, so we're looking for the areas. We're looking for like good quality parcels of land. And, you know, with areas with great demand and good pricing. And the reason like those main three things are important to us is because like we don't want to pick up a piece of land or either like it's an ugly piece of land that's like not very usable, right? That's one. Yeah. We want to find like high quality pieces of land in the outside that's actually like I said, some demand. The demand, we look at like sales happening in the past, like are there actually sales or just a bunch of stuff sitting on the market?
Are you looking in the past 30, 90 days?
We'll probably go like 120 to 180 days. So like anywhere from 4 to 6 months is kind of what we'll base it off of.
Okay.
And then lastly, I think I mentioned pricing, right? So like we try to stay above or in the price range of like 30 to 250,000, because that's just what we feel that there's a large buyer pool for that range.
Okay, and I know you mentioned that you specifically were doing acquisitions. Is there any, you know, sales tips that you could give the viewers?
Yeah, you know, starting at gallery, the main thing is actually caring about the customer, taking care of the customer, and seeing what they're there to accomplish. You know, I always tell this to you know, our team now. Today, you know, I noticed like the people who were really good at the job that I was working at the time were the people who would talk to a customer as soon as like they introduced themselves or they greeted the customer, they would start asking questions to see how, like, who were they dealing with, like how serious were they gonna, you know, about coming here and buying something today. But in our business, it's like, you know, if we're on the phone, if we're talking, how do I know you're actually interested in selling it? And you just like qualify early and often, right? The difference between the good people is, like I said, they will know if they had a customer, if they had a buyer that was ready to buy something like right now.
Yeah.
And they would, you know, focus on that rather than the person who is like trying to sell somebody on, hey, you know, this is that, but they're not ready to buy yet.
Yeah. So you guys are focusing on the people that are basically hot.
Yeah, you know, we put offers in everybody pretty much. But we want to make sure, like, I'm not going to give you an offer if you said you're ready to sell in 6 months. You know, the number comes out whenever you're ready to sell inside today. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Because, you know, people are just going to shop the offers and stuff like that. They're going to go to different stores. You know, it's like the retail world. But I was just able to compare that a lot and kind of see, like, because Mac had a you know, really good sales process where, you know, to allow you to get that many, you know, revenue in a year, that, you know, you had to have a sharp sales process.
For sure. And I think back in 2021, you know, a lot of deals, especially at that time, it was much easier, right? Not that many people in the game, not that many people knowing about land. So, you know, when somebody agreed on my price, I would just send them the contract.
Yeah.
You know, and I was telling my mentees, like, nah, you can't just send them. You got to make it seem like, you know, that price we can do, but we're going to work our manager to get their price. So now it gives them that sense of like, they're not losing, that we're working with them. Yeah. And then that helps us, you know, get the deals more. Because if you just send it too fast, or if you just make an offer, like you said, they're gonna shop your contract and they're not gonna sign the deal. So what does your marketing process look like?
So starting or like today?
Today,
we did turn on a couple other ones because we're testing and kind of seeing what's working different now. But pretty much for mail is one that we always try to keep turned on. We're sending mail to people who are, in the outskirts of Houston or the major cities in Texas, from 2 to 20 or 2 to 50 acres on the mail side. Because what we found is if we're going to get a mail lead, we want to make sure that number one, it's a quality lead. Mail is always going to be more quality than, SMS, cold call, and all that stuff. Yeah. Somebody calling you for mail, most of the time they're hot. Yeah, they're motivated. And two is we want like a quality margin on the deal. Like we want to make sure if we get a mailer lead, because these leads are so expensive, the ones that we do convert on, we want to make sure they're really good deals and they're profitable.
Okay.
So that's what we do for mail. So 2 to 50 acres, and we pretty much focus on out-of-state owners, tax delinquents, probate. But
in terms of the filters, are you guys, because you said 2 to 50 acres, is there on Propstream, you could do residential land, you could do vacant land general. Is there a specific filter, agricultural?
We're usually doing a vacant land general.
Okay.
We're just getting everything, because it's a small list. Sometimes it's not a really big list.
Right.
So that's what we're doing for the larger tracts, right? Now for the stuff maybe 5,000 square feet to 2 acres, all that stuff is getting texted and cold called, and now we're testing RVMs, and they've been working pretty good lately.
Okay. So let's talk about some deals, right? Let's start from 2022, because I feel like that's when you say you started really getting traction. So what was your biggest deal in 2022? In
2022, we ended up closing on a property. We ended up buying it with hard money, and then it ended up selling this year or last year in 2023. But that was a $267,000 deal, and we didn't
profit.
Yeah, profit. And then after all the hard money costs and all that stuff, we ended up netting 267.
All right, so let's talk about this deal.
So that was a mailer. That was an offer letter. So we sent them an offer for $350, and then the acquisition got the call. He ended up getting it for $320. Now, most of the time, you don't go to a bank to buy land. It's just really difficult to do. But this deal appraised for $904. And we're the hard money lender. Most hard money lenders, if they do lend on land, it's going to be at 50% of the appraised value or less. Is what they'll lend on it.
Okay.
So they could have gave us $450,000. We actually tried to assign it to ourselves to make a profit up front, but we messed up on some stuff. So we ended up closing on it for $320, and we had a payment every month for $3,200. So for
a year.
We were supposed to wholesale it. Yeah. But the buyer was taking too long, and I just didn't feel the seller was getting, he's all shaky. He wanted his money. So what we ended up doing was just let's just close on it. We threw it back on the market, and we actually had got under contract for a buyer. He sent EMD, it bounced, and he disappeared. Never heard from him again. So that just cut into our time frame. We could have probably been out in a total of 4 months after closing on it. Yeah. But then that buyer disappeared. The interest rate spiked, and then all developers kind of sat back on the sidelines. So after things kind of came back, we went back under contract for $700,000 or $750,000, and then after all commissions and expenses and stuff, it was $267.
Wow. Congrats on that.
Yeah,
$260. That's a big one. So I do have a question for you with that deal, right? You said you had to buy it, and then you had to make payments for a year, basically.
Yeah, that was not fun.
So you bought this one, you're holding it on the market. Are you getting offers throughout this time? Because you're making that $3,200 monthly payment.
Yeah. So let's say, we did have, for the most part, it was sitting for a while. I mean, we were working it, right? We had the agent working it. We were working it. We were having a bunch of people looking at it, underwriting it. But it was it took a certain buyer. The buyer pool for that price point and that property, it was just, it was going to take a certain person. So I guess that's why it probably took longer to get it closed. But In the beginning, yeah, if that would have went right, we would have been out in like 4 to 6 months. But things change. You got to be able to just kind of stick with it and move.
Patience.
Yeah.
Patience. So let's talk about another deal. What was your second biggest profit deal from that one?
Let's see. I mean, we can talk about some creative. You want to talk about some creative that we just did?
Yeah,
so I didn't want to talk too much about it yesterday, but I was mentioning it to you, right? So this is a cool thing that I think a lot of land people should look into, and I don't see many people talking about it today, right? So the thing with land is like banks don't participate in lending on, right? So there's not loan products for land that most people can go to that and get approved for, right? Like I talked to some people in Texas, a couple loan officers, and the products that they do have is like 20% down with good credit. It's still 12% interest.
That's crazy.
That's good credit. So they told me on the high end it's like 18. I'm like, what the hell? They said they look at it like it's personal loans, so they don't feel secure to hold it against a piece of land because it's like a secondary asset. Like a vacation home. You're only going to lend it to certain people, right? Because they can afford it. Yeah. So in the land space, there's this big, problem to fill with owner financing. You see a bunch of people selling their property on owner finance, whether you can even buy them on owner finance. It's easy to negotiate the terms. But what you could do is where I had a deal that we closed in January where we got it under contract for $55,000. And we didn't buy this. We just got it under contract. And we try to sell it, we try to wholesale it. It's probably worth 105, 110. I'm like, man, this thing is not selling though. Like we're offering like 70,000, 75. Like someone just take it. Yeah. And wasn't selling. We just went back to the drawing board. I'm like, man, I thought that was gonna move. We ended up putting terms together to do owner financing. Are you blasting this on the MLS? We we have like an 8-step dispo process that we pretty much do on all of our deals. Yeah. And one of them is going to end up finding a buyer. That's how we get our deals sold. But we ended up offering owner finance on it, and we did like $25,000 down. We got a buyer for $104,000 purchase price. Yeah. With $25,000 down, so he has a loan of like $79,000 for 60 months. He was paying like $1,600 a month. It's 8% interest. So this is the first one that I had. So that I'll talk about a specific way, because we do have a couple notes, but I found out where you can sell the note at closing and pretty much just almost like collect almost like a wholesale fee. You have no money tied in, right? So with this deal, right? Because I don't want this to go over the viewer's head, because it's kind of going over mine, right? So how much did you make up front? So the way it worked, right? Like I said, we had a contract with the seller for $55,000, and then we had a purchase agreement with the buyer that he was going to put $25,000 down, $104,000, all that stuff we just talked about. So then you have that loan amount I talked about, the $79,000. That's like an instrument. It's like it's a currency pretty much, right? So I have found a no buyer. And he said he'll pay like $55,000 or $53,000 for the $79,000 loan. So he's buying it at a discount. He gets a great deal because he gets that $19,000, $20,000 profit. Yeah. I mean, that equity between the difference of what he bought it and what they owe, and then he gets 8% interest on the difference of what Okay. And what about the seller? The seller, this is how it works. So remember, he get the no buyer is buying it for me for 53. Then we have this down payment for 25. So that's like 75 or something. Yeah. We gave 55 to the seller, and then we walked away with the balance. After we had also had like some other fees and a referral fee involved. It was like $3,000. So we ended up netting 20,000. But now, after learning that, now I know if you charge 10%, I could get more for the note instead of that 53. I might be able to get like 80 cents on the dollar for the note. I had to sell it at a discount because I didn't structure it right. So you made $23,000, and then you're getting $1,600 a month. So I sold the note. I'm no longer receiving it. Gotcha. Yeah. So like from learning that, you like, okay, now I gotta stay in it, right? So now what we're doing is we're able to offer owner finance on almost all of our properties. And now that I know if you offer the right terms, like 10% interest in a longer year, like the note investor, I know what they want a little more now. And if you structure it right for them, you still get like 80, 85 cents on the dollar for your note. And you keep the down payment though. So the higher down payment that you receive is kind of more profit for you.
Yeah, that's like your wholesale basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then also if you sell the note and you know, you could probably profit from that too, but a majority of your profit is coming from the down payment.
Who's your buyer for these like notes? Who's the typical buyer?
So what I've learned is there is some people out there that specialize in like buying land notes, and because it's a creative market, it's like a secondary market. There's a lot of investors like they're quiet. They don't talk to you.
Everybody is wholesaling, but once you get to that, once you graduate into the creative part of real estate with financing, it's a whole different ballgame.
Exactly. So pretty much these people are like banks. Like that's what banks do. They just trade mortgages with each other. But these people are trading mortgages with people that, you know, the banks are not cooperating, are not dealing in this space.
Yeah.
So there's just like millions of dollars to make.
And this is how you could become the bank for real.
Yeah. So like we hold a couple notes. Like for example, there's one in you know, that probably I think we did in like 2022, where we bought it for $12,500 with the closing costs and everything, and then we had a buyer come in and put $10,000 down. He bought it for $48,000, and then he put $10,000, so he owes $38 at 8% for 60 months. It was like $762 payment
every month.
So we got our money back in 4 months. We only had $2,000, $2,500 into the deal, and then we just collect $700 a month.
For how long?
For 5 years total.
Oh my God.
But you know, you could stretch them. That's a short term. You know, you could do 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And you know, that's really what you want. That's passive. You don't have to work for that money no more. You just collect it.
Because if you get, you know, 10 of those, 20, 30 of those.
There's people who hold hundreds of them. You know, imagine that.
Damn. So, I got to meet these people.
Yeah. And you know, it's not like owning a rental where you only make like $300 after your OpEx, you know, your mortgage, and you're putting it away for vacancies and repairs and all that. This is just like a mortgage, like straight to you. They make the payment. If they don't make the payment, you know.
What if they don't make the payment?
If they don't make the payment, then you had to foreclose on them. And it's, you know.
Have you done that yet?
No, I don't want to either. I like just collecting it. I don't really want to go back and do that, but.
Yeah. In terms of paperwork, is the paperwork the same? Are you going to attorney, a title company for those?
Our title company handles it too. So it's just like you know, you can find the agreements online a lot of the time. Probably just search like seller finance agreement in your specific state to make sure you're going by the right thing.
How do you track the payments?
You can use like a note servicing company, and you can have the buyer pay like $15, $20 a month. That's what the banks even do to us for mortgages and stuff, you know.
If you don't mind me asking, you know, can you put the website that you use for notes?
We actually service them ourselves, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
We just have like a Google sheet that we search it up, but for the most part, we're about to start setting all that up. We're getting it with note company because right now we only hold like 4 or 5 notes, and we're making.
Okay, it's easy to track those. But once you scale, you're gonna have to.
Exactly, but you know, I think going forward, I'll be looking forward to investing into notes because I know now I can buy them from people that originate them. I get a good deal, they cash out in the front, and the buyer's happy because they get a deal that they can afford now.
Yeah. So, why land?
Land, man, because it's a really simple business, right? Like, there's no surprises that you can run into for the most part if you do your due diligence. Mm-hmm. You know what you're looking at after some time. But I don't like construction. I didn't want to deal with construction, dealing with flipping houses or anything like that. I just want something that I could just buy and resell it and make a nice profit and just do it at volume. And I feel like land, you can do it at volume. Is
this virtual for you?
We rarely go out to go see the properties. Mm-hmm. So for the most part, it's like 85% virtual.
If you had to start over, would you start with land first, then houses?
Yeah, all day, for sure. Yeah, I'd be right out the gate. All
right. So in terms of, some mindset questions, any books that you would, give the viewers to read? What would you say is your top 3 books?
Top 3 books. I like Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits helped me a lot. Just get a real routine in, and that actually progresses you forward. Like they kind of align with each other. You know, a business book that's really great is Traction. You know, if you haven't read Traction, Traction is a really good book. And last, I'd probably say Patrick Davison, Your 5 Next, or I think it's your.
I haven't read that book.
Yeah, I think it's your 10 next moves or 12 next moves, something like that. Yeah.
What you learned from that book?
Just like strategizing better. You know, thinking of more moves ahead and like making sure what you're doing today aligns with what you have planned for the next 10 steps.
Okay.
So, you know, that book, yeah, definitely is a game changer for sure.
What does your team look like right now?
Today, we're kind of we're pretty much in the middle of scaling. So, you know, before it was only like three of us doing all this. Now we have 5 people in person, and then 2 cold callers that we outsource through an agency. And then we have 2 VAs working like in the company.
Yeah.
One's a virtual acquisition, and the other one does like admin stuff, kind of like for the whole team.
Gotcha. So I know you've done some meetups in Houston. Like what inspired that and how did those go?
Yeah. I'd say Donovan Ruffin, actually, he inspired that. He's like, hey, you know, you got something going, you know, be louder about it, you know, do a meetup. And we started, it was like, you know, it took a couple months to really get on it. And then after we did the first one, we realized like, yeah, there's nobody doing land meetups. You know, like the community needs this, you know, like there's people who are spending all these thousands and thousands of dollars in marketing. They get a land lead, they just throw it away. But that could be a $50,000 deal, or that could be a $267,000 deal if you know what to do with it. So,
yep, like not to cut you off, but my first deal was in my pipeline for like 3 months. My first land deal, and I would just pass over till I went to my network right out here in Tampa, Florida, and I asked them, yo, y'all think this is a deal? And then immediately they told me it was a deal. I got my first deal, made my first $6,000 from land, and then that's how I got into the business. So you're right, going to these meetups, being in those environments of people that's doing it, you can ask them questions, and especially if you wholesaling houses and you pulling county records, you might have some land deals in there that you could convert and make some money on.
Yeah, and then, you know, a lot of these landowners, they own a home, so you're going to talking to them, hey, you got anything else you want to sell? They're going to probably have that piece of land that they don't even deal with anyway. So, yeah, I mean, you got to know how to underwrite, how to analyze, and you know, what to do with these land deals.
Yeah, because I had another, you know, guest on my podcast. His name is Brian, and he was talking about how he got a house deal, but the owner owned a lot too. And basically he flipped he subdivided, flipped out a lot and made $80K just on the lot. So it's like, there's so many opportunities in this game. Another reason why I love land specifically is it's so much land.
Yeah, look at the whole nation.
You're doing Texas. It's crazy, right? You're doing Texas, I'm doing Florida, and we never like cross paths on any deals or anything like that. And you're making great money, I'm making great money. It's a lot of people, you know, I interviewed over 30 land flippers and I haven't came across or stepped on any toes. So that lets you know that it's a lot of opportunity in this land space.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there's probably even more people in Houston and Tampa doing the same amount of business as us, you know? So there's just, it's an abundance of it, you know what I'm saying?
Yep, and it's crazy because how I got introduced to you, right, from J Monopoly, and you know, he was telling me, he was like, yo, this dude just closed a $200K deal, like you got to get connected with him. And it's just crazy because like I didn't know you at all. I'm thinking there's only like 15 people doing land, right? But it's people across this nation doing this business. Like you showed me yesterday when we was talking, I forgot what the company's name, but they was on Wholesaling Inc. I forgot what it's called. We was talking about it yesterday. They had a website.
Discount lots. Yeah, they're doing like 100 to 150, 200 land deals a month across the nation. That's crazy.
And you wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
You know, so that's another reason why I love this land space, because you can make money and be low key. Like you don't have to be as loud as we are right now. You could be low key and still make 6 figures a month doing this land business, you know? So what advice would you give your 18-year-old self with the knowledge you have now?
I'd say, number one, like you said, be loud about what you're doing. If even if you're the greatest at what you're doing and nobody knows, nobody can help you. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these people, they want to help you. I'm pretty sure as of being loud out there, they want to give you a piece of the puzzle that will help you move forward. And man, I just reinvest in everything. I've always been pretty decent with not buying a bunch of crazy stuff because money's always been the priority. Yeah. Because just take care of my family, but just probably like even be more aggressive with it.
What was your craziest purchase so far?
Man, honestly not too much. I mean, I travel here and there, but if I do spend money to travel, I try to go to masterminds or I try to go to. So like I've been to Hawaii. Like when I was growing up, I couldn't go nowhere outside of Houston. Like I probably stayed in Houston for like the whole time my dad was in jail. So being able to travel is probably like been a nice part of like being able to spend some of that money.
Yeah, for sure. Over the past 3 years since I've been in the land space, traveled to 15 countries, and in some of these countries I closed the deal in while I was out there. Yeah. And I closed the deal in the States. So that's another reason why I love this business too. It's completely virtual. We don't have to see the land. As you said, you probably see one or two, but you probably seeing it for your convenience. Not really because you have to.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I love this business. With houses, they kind of have to see it, or they have to get somebody else to see it, which is kind of like a hassle because you never know if they might cut you out the deal, things like that.
Or they might not see something that's important, that could kill the deal,
For sure. So, any last words or advice you could give the viewers?
I definitely would say, have a strong vision on what you're working towards, whether it's long-term, 10 years. But I would say start with the end in mind. Jason Wang, I talked to you a little bit about him, a friend of mine in Charleston. Mm-hmm. I went to his mastermind in Hawaii, and this is one thing that really kind of helped me know I was going down the right path, right? But like start with the end in mind, even with like your eulogy, like when you die, what do you want people to say about you? How do you want them to feel about you? What do you want them to say that you helped them with? And you're like, that's the stuff that you need to be doing and focusing on every day, because that's what matters at the end. We all got to go one day.
Yep. I love to tell like my mentees, reverse engineer everything, because once I reverse engineer my business, focus on the market, then the builder, then the vacant land owner, it just made it a simpler process. So you do that with life, with whatever you want, it just makes it a simple process. And then once you make it a habit, now you're on autopilot. Yeah. And then that's when you make history. Yeah. So, where can the people follow you at?
I'm on Instagram at Alan, ALANH, Quintero, QUINTERO. And, we talk all things land investing there. And, I have a Discord as well that I started and just helping people, showing people how to market, underwrite, talk to sellers, and then, if you get a deal, we'll do the transaction coordinating for you. They don't got to worry about any of that. Talking to the title, you just go focus on getting another deal, and we'll dispo it.
Where can they follow your Discord?
You probably just hit me up on Instagram, and I'll make sure I get the link to you as soon as possible.
Yes, sir. So y'all want to tap in with the game changers, and y'all want to make some deals flipping land, make sure y'all tap in with us. Game changers.